My Pedagogic Creed. Through this initial examination of John Dewey's piece, My Pedagogic Creed, I hope to reaffirm and clearly articulate my own beliefs about education. Although Dewey's work was published a full century before I entered into my own professional training, I'm able to use his structure as a framework for my own statements. Dewey's piece has an overall feeling of dissatisfaction. However, I am encouraged by his message and see the possibility of education in the 21st century reaching and surpassing some of his stated and implied goals. What education is. I believe that education begins long before formalized instruction. Education takes place in the home, among the family, and within the individual's community. Christensen, Horn, and Johnson indicate that 98% of educational spending occurs after the basic intellectual capabilities of children have mostly been developed, before entering formalized kindergarten. This means that schools and educators must respect the unique histories that each student brings with them before entering the learning environment. I believe that education takes place in any environment or situation that is meaningful and authentic. Education can no longer be relegated to a specific place or a specific time frame. Education does not stop at 3:30 on a Friday and resume at 9 a.m. the following Monday. I believe that the definition of education, as identified by Dewey, is somewhat limited, as he only speaks of the child and not the learner or the individual, as I will attempt to do. However, many of his affirmations are applicable to 21st century learners. I believe that some technologies have the ability to respect each learner's individuality and the dynamics of the group. Like Dewey, I too believe that the psychological and social sides are organically related, and that education cannot be regarded as a compromise between the two or a superimposition of one upon the other. Communication technologies allow users to maintain their individuality within a larger group. For example, an individual's voice may be lost in a crowd, but it can stand out when posted visually on an interactive discussion board. What the school is. I believe that the school is a way to engage students in socialization. I believe that socialization and meaningful education can transpire when learners are exposed to an environment where all individuals are interacting in an authentic manner. I believe that the school supports and encourages experiences and interactions with others, which can automatically happen within the community setting of a school. At times, these interactions can be persuasively encouraged by the teachers, but will continue to become more natural with time. I believe that the school community should supersede the classroom community. Once outside of formalized schooling, individuals are rarely assigned to collective groups simply based on age. It's our experiences, our knowledge, our skills, and our passions that help influence our social or professional networks. So too, schools should be permitted to encourage complex, mixed groups. I believe that Dewey's ideal representation of school as primarily a social institution is now closer to reality than he could have predicted over a century ago. Because of newly available technologies, learners can now experience schools as an extension of the home and workplace. For example, some individuals who might not have had the opportunity in Dewey's time are now able to participate in new learning experiences while creating a genuine sense of community. I believe that the school must be an authentic environment with the same constructs the learner faces in everyday situation. To that end, the school environment should be conducive to emerging technologies and to embracing change. In Digital Natives, Digital Immigrants, Mark Prensky indicates that, in math for example, the debate must no longer be about whether to use calculators and computers, but rather how to use them. As with calculators and computers a decade ago, so too will the debates turn to cell phones, handheld devices, and other technologies yet to be imagined. The subject matter of education. I believe that material needs to be presented and referenced in context. So the learner can make meaningful and lasting connections, the subject matter must be seen in a relevant and contextually appropriate way. I believe that formal, traditional subjects, such as literature, mathematics, science, need to be given appropriate respect, but are essentially artificial ways of dividing and compartmentalizing knowledge and understanding. Having a specific class period dedicated to language skills or scientific experimentation discounts the organic nature of our society and environment. Specific subjects cannot be adequately explored out of context. I believe that Dewey's criticism of subject-specific learning lends itself to this argument. He states that it cannot, therefore, be true that the proper studies for one grade are mere reading and writing, and that at a later grade, reading or literature or science may be introduced. I believe that some material should be presented in primary form, that is, without historical constructs. Learners should be allowed to explore and experiment with raw materials or raw data to come to their own conclusions. Subject matter experts, researchers, scientists, critics, need to be appropriately acknowledged for their contributions, but learners should have the pleasure and advantage of discovering something new. I believe that technological advancements are starting to permit these cross-curricular ideas to prosper. Teachers can use technology resources to interact with colleagues and establish and plan out lessons and modules across subject areas. Information and media literacy is becoming a mandatory component of math and science courses, and students will benefit from learning these skills in context. The nature of method. I believe that all students learn better by being actively involved, although this takes different forms for each individual. For some learners, activity means reading, listening, and processing the information in an individual way. For others, activity includes research, inquiry, and exploration. Still others require physical manipulation and movement to become involved. I believe that every individual learns in a different way. Christensen et al. Exemplify this belief and pair it with the benefits of technological advancement. A key step towards making school intrinsically motivating is to customize an education to match the way that each child best learns. To introduce customization, schools need to move away from the monolithic instruction of batches of students towards a modular, student-centric approach using software as an important delivery model. I believe that Dewey's concept of imagery is broader than visual literacy as we now understand it. His concept of imagery indicates that he believes that the image is the great instrument of instruction. What a child gets out of any subject presented to him is simply the images which he himself forms with regard to it. This is more than looking at images or media. To me, this concept parallels understanding. If a learner can come to know and understand a new concept without any hesitations, they have successfully created the image of that concept. Technology can be useful in this context because it allows for multiple means of representing and identifying these images. The school and social progress. I believe that education is the primary means of achieving social progress and change. Through an awareness of current societal conditions, learners are exposed to authentic, meaningful, and memorable experiences. I believe that Dewey's understanding of the world was limited and localized. He was describing his world and his environment, but no more. Throughout, he makes reference to society, but understanding the context of his creed, published in 1897, he did not look to a community or culture outside of his own. Technology has allowed us to physically visit societies and cultures in a way that wasn't possible in the 19th century. This has caused a significant change to our own society as we experience the effects of multiculturalism every single day. No longer can we discuss our race or our society as Dewey did. I believe that new technologies have been instrumental in allowing us to actively communicate and network with others across the globe. Not only has this permitted cross-cultural sharing and understanding, but it has allowed learners to view their own society and community in a new light. These new perspectives afford learners the opportunity to reflect on their own situations. I believe, finally, that the learner must not become complacent. As Dewey was unnerved by constraints of then current educational practices, so too should 21st century learners be concerned with the state of our own institutions. By constant reflection on our own practices and adaptation to changing circumstances, we can honor the work of all educators and their pedagogical beliefs.